Good morning and welcome to Coach's Corner Football Show on 93.7 FM The Mix. I am Nathan Lambert, and alongside me I have Riley Price and the head varsity football coach for Wawasee High School, Jon Reutebuch. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, obviously last night, senior night for the Warriors, took on the NorthWood Panthers, had a tough loss. Let's get into how the game plan went in. Did you guys have to prepare for the weather starting early, or was that something that was kind of sprung at the last second?
Yeah, I don't know that we knew it was going to be that cold, windy, and rainy. We knew it was going to be cooler, and their forecast did say there was going to be some wind, but everything that we had seen, it was all going to die down between 7 and 7:30, and it never did. So
it looked a little bit miserable there. We were sitting there and we were talking before the game. I was like, yeah, 7 o'clock. It looks like it starts calming down a little bit. And then it was like into the first quarter, and I looked up, and I mean, it's just an absolute downpour.
Yeah.
And I was like, oof.
Well, it was a definite factor. I mean, it was brutal conditions in that first quarter with the wind and the rain. And then, they win the toss and they defer to the second half, and they have a kicker that has a great leg, and it's a weapon. So opening kickoff, he puts it through the end zone. With the wind, and we're starting at our own 20, and field position was a major factor all night long. They had good field position, and we had poor field position most of the night, and, we're constantly trying to fight our way out of deep in our own territory. So that definitely was an issue.
So after you were talking about starting from 1st and 20, what was the game plan, the initial game plan coming into that first drive?
Starting off on the 20, 1st and 10, there's a couple different things we wanted to do. We wanted to see how they'd line up. You watch film, you see how you think they're going to line up, and then
but every team is going to attack it a little bit differently too. So
and they're going to line up a little different, and they're going to throw you a few curveballs and things like that. So always we want to establish the run. We want to make sure that is a big part of our game plan, and then of course our passing game. We have some dynamic kids out there, and we want to get them the ball, and so. That is the game plan, and unfortunately on that very first drive, we didn't go very far. We had a pass play, short pass play to start the game off, and then we get the run stuffed, and we weren't able to get a first down. So it was 3 and out, we're punting, and with that wind and the rain, the best we could do is put it out to the 50, and that's great field position for them. Our defense rises to the occasion, and Derek Bontrager picks one off right off the bat, in the first drive.
And he read that perfectly. I mean, he broke on that ball and jumped right in front of the wide receiver.
Yeah, that's experience. I mean, there's a kid right there that has started for 2 years. He started the sectional game of his sophomore year, and he has experience, and he understood what was going on, and he jumped it and looked good doing it. So we get the ball at our own 45, and first play, we have a 15-yard loss with the snap. And, wet conditions and things like that, it's normally a snap that we can handle. It wasn't that crazy of a snap, and unfortunately we did not, and that put us behind the chains right off the bat. So it's 3 and out again, and we punt, and we're confused with our blocking assignments. We shouldn't be, but we were, and it was partially blocked, and so they get the ball on the plus 40. Again, great field position, but again, our defense rises to the occasion, and their drive ends with Hunter Tinky interception in the end zone. And so defense is rising to the occasion. We knew going in that they had some dynamic receivers, and that was going to be a plan to make sure that we don't give up the big play. And our kids really studied, and Coach Pinion worked with them hard on, recognizing what's coming. And they both did a great job. And again, those are 2 seniors, lots of experience
on senior night too.
On senior night, and Tinky, he's a 3-year starter, and so he's been through the battles and he's seen it. And those kids, liked the challenge. They liked the challenge that NorthWood was bringing, and so the back four was pretty fired up about last night's game and what was coming at them. And so, again, our defense rises up, helps us out. We, again, cannot move the ball. 3 and out again. And, again, our protection is wrong. One of our guys came all the way across the formation, and they didn't block our punt. We did. It was our guy coming across right in front of Reed's leg, and that's what blocked the football.
I was wondering how it was blocked.
Had he not come across, the punt would have been away. It was our own guy.
Man, those small little mistakes just make a huge difference.
It's I saw it right away. We of course we have a iPad on the sideline and see what happened. See what we need to correct, and then when I saw it, my heart sunk a little bit. It's like, oh my goodness, what are we doing? And so, had to correct that, and that's unfortunate. So we're down 7-0 after, they had the ball on the 5-yard line. So you had the ball at the 50, they had the ball at the 40, and they had the ball at the 5. And so we are lucky to get out of that.
I was going to say, taking 12A, they score a lot of points. They have a lot of weapons, and then giving them the ball in plus position 3 times and only giving up a score. It's almost like, hey, guys, we can still compete. We still got this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You give a dynamic offense that short of a field 3 times in a row and give up 1 out of the 3, I'll take it. It's unfortunately, that we blocked our own punt. But, we gave them great field position, and our defense rose to the occasion, and, they're going to score. You just can't stop it when it's that close. It's hard. And so, again, the weather conditions, in that first quarter, it's a driving rain, it's wind in our face, and we're having trouble passing and moving the ball, catching snaps. It comes to punt, we're having a hard time handling the punt. The snap is low. Reed's got to use his baseball skills to scoop it up. And
let me tell you, those were on display a couple times last night. He really got down and got that ball.
Yeah, we had talked to him after the last game, that, hey, you got to field that. Against Warsaw, he had one that was low, and we felt like, you're a baseball player, you're an athlete, you could have probably fielded that. And he did get it off against Warsaw, but we kind of gave him the business a little bit and teased him about, hey, baseball player, scoop that up. And so after a particular wild snap last night that he picked up and got off, I said, hey, there's that baseball player, and he had a good chuckle at that. So
there was a few low snaps that came to him last night, and he's able to get them off. And honestly, there was a couple blocks with the punts and potentially a missed punt, if you will. But honestly, with all of the pressure that he had last night, I think he did a phenomenal job able to scoop that ball and able to get it off.
Yeah, I think one of the media outlets had them with 3 touches on our punts. One of them was our fault. Another one, nobody really blocked it. He was just trying to avoid it and got a bad punt off. And so the bottom line is we're punting too much. Mm-hmm. We're punting too much.
Yeah, if you're moving the ball, you don't have to use your punter.
Exactly. Or if you're moving the ball in at least positive territory or plus territory, they're not as aggressive because, it's always a possibility of fake. And so we got to move the ball out of there, and we got to be consistent and not put ourselves with our backs to the wall where they can pin their ears back and go after us. And that's exactly what was happening in that first quarter. So they're up 7-0. And again, kick it off, put it through the end zone, and it's at the 20 again. This time we do get a first down. We do move the ball a little bit, but we're forced to punt the ball. And for their 4th possession, they get the ball in the plus 43. So we're talking 50, 45, and 43. That's difficult to overcome, but we do a good job again. The defense rises up, forces them to punt. We were talking about the percentage of making the team punt because against Warsaw, one of our goals was to make them punt at least twice.
Right.
And for a flexbone team to have to punt twice, that's a big deal. And so, as you can tell, it helped us quite a bit. And so, in this game, we were talking about the same thing. We I know Coach Zapes looked it up, and I want to say they've only punted like 4 times all season.
Really? See, I didn't look at that stat coming into this game.
4 or 5 times all season at
Wow.
least, and I hope that's correct. But we knew that they rarely punted. So again, our goal was to try to make them punt twice, and this was one of those times. And we got a good punt return. And so we start off our next drive, our 5th possession, at the 38, which isn't terrible. It's a lot better than the 20. And, again, we fumble the snap. But we're able to drive down to the 20, a promising-looking drive, and we try to do too much and we throw a pick. And we just cannot do that. And that is something that we've stressed all season. You can't turn the ball over, especially in the red zone, the scoring position, and we did it again last night. And so, we decided to make a change at quarterback and kind of get his attention that, you cannot make those errors. And he's a good quarterback. He makes a lot of great plays, but we got to, any coach will tell you got to take care of the football. And we just cannot continue to turn the ball over and expect to win.
And that was number 2 on your list of keys to victory is avoid turnovers.
That's every week. And it's been kind of our bugaboo all season long is turn the ball over and not taking advantage of opportunities. And, it's on the whole offense. But in that particular situation, we had something called that we should have taken advantage of, and we tried to force something, and, it takes away one of our possibilities.
Yeah, you mentioned the QB change. I mean, Keim came in, and again, we've talked about this all season when he's come in, but he looked poised. He looked comfortable back there. He makes a giant throw to Tinky. Tinky has to come back for it, but inevitably just gets off. I had it recorded for somewhere around this 65-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I think it was 62.
For his first throw of the game, he had to feel great coming off the field for that one.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure he was jacked and pumped. But as you guys know, he had to play most of the Concord game. He started the Northridge game, and that experience is invaluable. And in the long run for him next year, that's great experience, game time experience.
And it helps him build his leadership, too.
Yeah, and you know what? We have confidence in him, too. I mean, we have 2 deep in every position, and, a lot of those guys rotate. And so I'm not saying we're going to rotate at quarterback, but we have every confidence that, if Mason needs to get his thoughts collected and see it from the sideline a little bit and get back on track, that we have every confidence in Luke to come in and execute.
I had him 4 for 8, very unofficially 4 for 8 for 88 yards and a touchdown. I mean, for a guy that just comes in the middle of the second quarter to be able to do that, those are some incredible numbers.
Yeah, and he only played 2 quarters, so that's not too bad.
That's great.
Yeah,
and he'll be traveling up to NorthWood today, correct, to take them all
in
JV?
Yeah. You can have 2 varsity quarters and still play your 4 JV quarters.
Man, I'd love to see his stats after that game.
I would too.
The first quarter ends. And we're finally out of the hurricane force situation.
Right in the face.
Yeah, and we turn it around, and they get the ball on their 5th possession, and they drive it down to the 5. I mean, they have a really good drive, and we're kind of reeling a little bit, but we bowed our neck at the end and forced them into field goal, and it's 10-0. And I don't know if you guys were watching as close on the PATs and field goals, but Hunter Tinky was getting
inches
awful close
away.
I mean, there's a couple of those that must have went under his underarm. We've been working on that.
Through the wind, he probably felt the wind off the football when he was that close.
Yeah.
Probably should have grew his fingernails out this week. Maybe got an extra little inch in there.
Yeah, so he's applying great pressure, but he decided to bloop to us. We get the ball in the 38, which is decent field position, and as we alluded to, Luke Keim comes in, and second play hits that TD pass to Keim for I think 62 yards or so.
Wow!
And all of a sudden it's 10-7. We're right back in this thing, and all the things that was going against us there in that first quarter.
And we're down by 3.
Yes,
that's it.
And we're down by 3. It's 10-7, and so we feel good about our situation. We squib. It goes out of bounds, and so they get the ball at the 35. That's a lot better than what they were getting in the first quarter field position. and they're driving, and they're able to drive down and score. And I think our defense was getting a little tired, and they were running the ball more, and we were not rising to the occasion. They had stopped them several times, and so they drive right down and score 17-7 to answer our score, and that's a mark of a good team. They come down and they get it back. They kick off deep to us. We get it out to the 42. Good return by Derek. We knew when they're kicking against the wind, we were going to have an opportunity to return with the wind.
And use your weapons back there, right?
And use our weapons, have an opportunity, if they kick to us. So they blooped the first time. They didn't give us a chance, and we had great field position. This time they kicked deep, and we brought it out to the 42. So good field position. And then we start off, with a penalty, and I don't know if it was a penalty or not. Looking at film, it didn't look like it was a hold, but we got that call, so it's 3 and out, and we're punting. They get the ball at the 47, the negative 47, but that's the midfield.
All said and done, that's still great field position.
That's
for them.
Again, back to giving them a powerful offense, great field position. You can't do that. But anyway, our defense rises to the occasion. We get a sack fumble with Donovan Blair. Dominic was his brother. Donovan Blair, and we get the ball at the 47, and we're driving, and we give up a sack fumble. So it's back-to-back sack fumbles by each team. It's a countdown to halftime, and they have 8 seconds, 1 play to go, and we talk about just knock it down, keep it in front of you, and they get off a Hail Mary, and we got to learn from these situations. When you got a dynamic receiver like Mr. Tuggle over there, you can't just try to go up and out-jump him and get it, and that's what we did. And had we just secured the tackle, we had 2 guys on him. We had another one trailing, and then we had another one not too far away. Four guys, we should have tackled him and gone into halftime with a 17-7 deficit, but instead we give up a touchdown, and it's 24-7. And I really, really feel like that was the knife in the gut right there. It's giving up that last-second Hail Mary touchdown to Tuggle, and all the great work that the defense had done up to that point, it just kind of canceled it out, and you could tell the guys were
going in down by 10, you're like, hey, look, everything's gone wrong, and yet we're still in this ball game.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you could tell we had to work very hard to try to get them back up. And to their credit, they were saying what they need to say and acting the way they need to act, but you could tell that play hurt us quite a bit. And we just got to do a better job in those situations. It's something that we've talked about before, and we knew that in a jump ball situation. How about Hunter Tinky's job on him all night long?
He did amazing.
If this kid's going to Georgia, maybe we need to send his tape to some of the other SEC schools and say, hey, you might want to take a look at this guy at DB. Look how he's doing it against Georgia's recruits.
Some massive swats last night by Tinky for sure.
He is a great player, and they have several good players, and they do a good job of utilizing their offense and getting the ball in their playmakers' hands. And Rader does a good job of getting out there. He trusts his receivers, and they have a pretty decent running game to go along with it, which we had a hard time with, and so presents a lot of problems. And you just got to do a better job with that. When he was locked in one-on-one, he did a great job. That was just one time where we slipped, and they made us pay.
Well, that was the first half discussion for last night's contest against NorthWood. When we get back, we'll continue to discuss last night's game, and then a little bit later we will talk to Derek Bontrager and Dallas Miller this week. This is the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. And welcome back to the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. Now, in our first segment, Coach, we talked about the first half of NorthWood. And, obviously you're going in the locker room giving up that Hail Mary to the big Tuggle. You said that the players were still, responding the same way. I mean, they still seemed to come out and have that fight, but that was a big dagger. Talk about what your message was to the team at half coming back out for the second one.
Well, I pointed out that we had played pretty well. We had we knew that we blocked our own punt, and I said, you take that block punt away and that Hail Mary, those shouldn't happen. Those typically don't happen. We're playing pretty well, and so a lot of game left, a lot of opportunity to do some good things and keep fighting the good fight. And we need that team that the last two games against Northridge and Warsaw, took it all the way down to the end, and we need to do that again tonight. And but they definitely were affected by that. I know they were, but they came out, and as you well know, they didn't give up, and they were fighting all the way to the end. And bounce here, bounce there. We could have made it even tighter. I mean, we had that opportunity, but coming out the second half, we wanted to put the ball in the air, let the wind play with it a little bit in rainy conditions and make them handle it. And Reed just got under it way too much, and it was very short, and their front wall kid.
It almost was, if I'm thinking of the right kick, it almost was recovered. It was such a high, short kick, right?
No.
Or was that the one earlier in the game?
Yeah, that was earlier in the game. No, this one he caught it pretty clearly, and he tried to run with it, and we tackled him. They had the ball at the 47. It actually is a very similar kick that we had against Warsaw that we recovered, and so it was very similar like that, but it was not supposed to be that shallow. It was supposed to be a lot deeper. And, of course, our kickoffs were – not only are we not kicking deep because we're not going to give their dynamic guys that are back there a chance to return it, but we're also, trying to mix up our kicks to slow down and negate any kind of return they have. And so squibs and bloops, that's what we're doing. Some people call it kangaroo kick. And, unfortunately, we've struggled this season at times. At times we've done a good job executing those kicks, and at other times we've struggled with that. And the Warsaw game, we were lucky on some of those kicks that our kids were aware and active and going to get it, that we were able to make big plays out of that, but we didn't always execute our kicks. And so Reed had to take on, I need to mention this, Reed had to take on all kicking duties last night. Is Dane Sigler, our soccer kid that plays football, fractured a bone in his foot in this sectional soccer game, and so we're going to be without him for a while. And so Reed had to take on all kicking duties and did a pretty good job.
I was going to say, when I walked out, I saw Dane, and I said, that's not good, and he just goes, no, it's not good. He goes, I'm hurt, and I won't be able to play for a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a disappointment. Now, so your team kind of responds. You have a short kickoff. What does the defense do in that position?
Well, we were flat. I mean, just plain and simple, we were flat, and they came out and they scored on that first possession. They went right down the field on a short field, and now we're down 31-7, and that's the tough spot right there. And your team can go one of two ways. You can just fold and let them roll you, or you can keep battling and keep fighting back. And that's a danger zone for us. And as you well know, we kept fighting and came back, but it was getting pretty bleak at that point. They kick off to us again. They have the wind. Because we want the scoreboard in the fourth quarter. That's the idea behind it. So, if you're mounting winning drives, you got the scoreboard in front of you, and you can see the clock and all that for your 2-minute offense and everything. And every coach does that. So that's, nothing big. But so they get a touchback. We get the ball in the 20, 3 and out. We're punting again. Reed gets off a pretty good punt, and they have the ball in their own 35, which is a lot better than that midfield that we've been giving them. And then on their second possession, they march down again and score. And now it's 38-7, and we really started to challenge our kids at that point. Don't quit on us. You're not that kind of team. And
I noticed that as soon as they scored that touchdown, before your defense even got off the field, you and Coach Zapes were on the field, and you guys
Coach
had
Pinion.
like a 5-minute, or not 5-minute, but a couple-minute conversation of, just seemed passionate And from that, you could tell that the body language of the kids just kind of stood up a little bit and said, no, we are not this team, and we're going to continue to fight.
Yeah, Coach Pinion was part of that, too. All three of us got after him and said, hey, we got to wake up, and this is not who we are. And so I think from that point on we did. I think they gathered themselves back and, took the two big shots from NorthWood, and they settled back into playing our brand of football. We were still struggling offensively. We had a bad punt. They didn't block it. We just were trying to avoid the rush and went off the side of Reed's foot, and so they got a ball back in good field position on the 34, and it's like, oh, here we go. But you know what? The defense bowed their neck this time, and we held them to a turnover on downs, and they really didn't go anywhere. We got the ball right where they started it at the 34, and again, we can't move it. We had a lot of struggles on offense. I should mention that we had several guys filling in spots that they weren't used to.
I was going to bring that up too, Coach, because we talk about next man up and that, but there seemed to be quite a few kids that were dealing with some injuries and ailments there. How does that kind of affect? I mean, you're talking about moving a new center in, moving a tight end to tackle. I mean, that had to be a lot of extra just, going through the game plan this week.
It was huge. We had to move Dallas Miller from tight end to tackle. Our center was out. He was concussed in the Warsaw game, and that's huge because he's been solid all season.
We've had good snaps. He's done great blocking. You guys do a lot of pulls, so that puts a lot of pressure on the center too to kind of get that back block corrected, so that they can get the hole that you're trying to make.
Yeah, and C.J. Peschel had to move to center, and he had to work on that all week, snapping the ball and getting your block.
Not only does he have to be a center, now he has to be a center in a game where it's wet and windy and cold.
Exactly.
And as a fellow center, my heart goes out to him. I mean, every time you add a little bit different, conditions to the ball, it's hard to get your bearings on how exactly to grip the ball and still get it back to the quarterback.
Yeah, and for the most part, we had some tough snaps that the quarterbacks did a good job of handling. Not as much in the first quarter did we do a good job of handling, but that throw that Kime made to Tinky, he literally stopped it with one hand, pulled it in, and then made the throw almost all in one motion. And so, it was a difficulty, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that those guys had to fill in, and that made a difference with our blocking. So we definitely struggled up front all night long. So anyway, we get the ball back and we're punting, and but at least we got a little room, and Reed gets off a pretty good punt, and they muff the catch, and we recover it. Derek Bontrager's like a magnet to special teams fumbles. He gets on them and gets it back for us. So now we have the ball in good field position, and this time we take advantage, and we drove down and score. Ended with the Shoemaker, a pass to Bontrager for a touchdown, and makes it 38-14, and there's a little bit more pep in the step.
So there was a kickoff, I believe, right after that was an onside that a lineman brought it all the way down to the 1, or was that later in the game?
That's a little bit later. That's after we made it 38-21.
I want to talk about that possession real quick. They get the ball in the 1, and this defense rises to the occasion and holds them out of the end zone there.
Yeah.
I mean, that you're down big. The game, the onside kick doesn't go your way, and your defense, rises to the occasion. That's got to make you at least have something to build on for next week, right?
We'll get to that. There was certain factors on that too, but yeah, you're correct. We did a nice job of bowing our neck again and not letting them just have it. So after it's 38-14, we kick off. They get the ball at the 40, and we're squibbing again, and it just went right to somebody. So they get the ball at the 40 with just decent field position, but it's not horrible for us. And they drove down to the 2. And that's where we forced fumble. I wanted to mention that. Peyton Sewell came in and ripped it out. at about the 2-yard line, and we get the ball 2 or 3 yard line. And so we get the ball. I mean, we stopped the drive, and that's a kid that's got grit. He's not giving up on the play. It'd be easy to just let him walk in, and he's fighting right down to the final play, and he rips it out, and we get the ball back. So we have the ball at the 3 yard line, I believe, and we unfortunately we're not able to move it too much. We're still against the wind and everything, and it's 3 and out, and we're punting again, and then we're starting the fourth quarter. And they have the ball at the 49. Again, that field position was just killer all night. They drove down to the 3, and they went forward on fourth down. We stopped them again on downs. And you're talking about bend, don't break defense. We had several stops that had we let them score, it would have been ugly. So we get the ball at our own 3, and we go on a 97-yard drive.
Wow.
That's at any level.
That's got to make Coach O pretty happy there.
Yeah, that's on any level. That's a huge drive. And, we were aided by some penalties in that drive, but they were legit penalties. I mean, they were obvious penalties. And so, but we were able to sustain a drive, 97 yards, and ended with a Shoemaker to Blair touchdown pass, which, was making it 21-38. And so now we're starting to look at, okay, let's get another score and chop this thing down to 10 and see what happens. So we tried it. Now we're to where you talked about kicking the onside, and Reed in practice has not done a great job on our onside kicks.
That kick was beautiful.
That was perfect.
That bounce just over the line was amazing. He
finally got a really good onside, and Derek was right there and he went up for it and just missed it. The problem was the other guys didn't go to the ball. For whatever reason, we were kind of watching what was going on. Now, we had some subs in at that point in time because guys are going both ways and pretty taxed. But there's no excuse. We expect everybody to execute, and for whatever reason, we parted the ways, and he caught it on the fly and took off with it and ran it all the way down to the 1 yard line. So they're at the 1. Again, field position, right? So we stuffed the first 2 plays. They have a bad snap, and then an incomplete pass on a turnover on downs. Again, they could have just opened the Red Sea and let them go right in, and we did not. And now at that point, they did have a couple of their 2s in, but I've seen defenses in the past just let that happen, and we did not. We bowed our neck again, and so we were able to get the ball back. It ended up being they went backwards. We got the ball at the 30, and they were at the 1, and so that was good for us. And then we got the ball. Our goal is to drive down, score again. Drove it down to the 20, and then we threw an interception again. And if it's a better throw, if it's to that back pylon, we got a chance. And we just threw it inside too much, and they picked it off. So that was essentially the end of the game.
Well, obviously a tough loss for the Warriors last night. I believe the final score was 38-21 Northwood. When we get back, we will talk with senior Derek Bontrager and junior Dallas Miller. This is the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. And welcome back to the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. Now, in the booth with me, I have a very special gentleman, senior Derek Bontrager. Welcome to the booth.
Thank you.
Now, Derek, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 17, about to turn 18. I have played football for 4 years.
You didn't play in middle school, did you?
Played halfway through 8th grade years when I started playing football.
Halfway through his 8th grade year.
Yeah, he just didn't want to, be coached by me. That's what it was.
It was halfway through the 8th grade season is when I started playing.
He saved up for his high school years, though.
Yep.
Talk about your family.
I have 2 siblings, older sister and a younger brother, and my parents are together.
Okay. Let's talk about what you play on positions you play and what you do in football.
Strong safety, probably arguably the best position on defense. I love it. Just fly around and make tackles. You can read the whole field. Interceptions, so much fun. And offense, just getting the ball, scoring the ball, so much fun. Yeah.
You're a huge impact on special teams, too. You're like a magnet when the other team fumbles it, right?
Yeah, the last, 2 games I've got a fumble recovery from special teams. Last night was a punt that they fumbled, and the week before was a kickoff that they fumbled.
Yeah. Derek is a guy that never comes out. He never comes out. I never have to call for his sub. His sub's probably mad at him because he never gets to see the field.
Yeah, probably.
But he doesn't just, go out there and do it. He is full go, getting after it, doing a great job out there, and he does a great job with the special teams. He's a punt returner. He's a kick returner. He does all of it, and he's rarely off the field. He's almost always on the field for us, either offense, defense, or special teams. So he does a great job with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my question is, last night, you talked about your strong safety position, and last night it was kind of on display, your skills in that. What goes into a traditional week of your preparation?
Obviously practice hard and just being able to read the offense and watch film and know what they're going to do and just recognize what they're going to do when they're going to do it. And then, I think that's the easiest way to tell on what they're going to do and what I should be doing at that point in time. And obviously listening to what coach has to say and just,
Yeah, the coaches do a pretty good job of preparing you. Don't you feel like every game you've gone into, you knew exactly what they were going to do?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's so much more. It's so much easier to play, obviously, when you know exactly what they're going to do. And when coaches, game plan, everything just goes so well together. And, it's just so easy.
Yeah, and, how valuable is your experience? This is the second year of a starter. You started, if you probably remember this, but sectional of your sophomore year, you were starting at safety.
Yep.
What was that like? And then how has that progressed to where you are right now?
Then, obviously, I was, I thought it was scary. I was nervous. But just with the experience and everything that I have now, it's just, I just go out there, I just have fun. And you just, obviously, you make mistakes, but it's just so much more fun when you know what you're doing and when you know what's going to come.
So, Derek, we said that you're a senior. What are your plans after high school?
I don't know yet. Not gonna lie, I've not decided anything, but probably just going to the workforce, just working somewhere and just making some money.
I noticed in your senior profile that you were open to maybe an opportunity to continue to play football.
Yeah. I would love to continue to play football if I could, but I just wait for the opportunity to come if there is one.
Yeah, you never know. The way you've developed over the last couple seasons, there might be a few schools interested in getting you on their roster, especially when they know that you're a special teams guy, which is always something that college coaches love, and what a great player you are as far as you're at everything. You're a leader. You're somebody that doesn't miss anything. Just an all-around great player to have on your team and a great senior leader.
And I just want to add on that. You kind of have a nose for the football. You talk about your fumbles, but it seems like every single game you're either breaking up a pass, you're making the tackles. We call your name on defense about every other play just because if it's on your side of the field, it's probably going to be you on the tackle.
Well, on the very first drive, guess who comes up with an interception? Okay, talk us through that play.
I'm going to be honest. Before the game, I had this big feeling that I'm going to have an interception this game. I didn't expect it to be within the first 5 plays of the game. But I did have a good feeling about reading the offense and making a play in the interception.
Yeah, you read that really well and undercut that and picked that off, and that was huge. They had good field position. With the gale force winds and rain, we had a hard time moving the ball, and they had the ball in good field position, and you were Johnny on the spot there and picking that ball off.
Well, Derek, what are you looking forward to through the rest of your senior year here?
Obviously excited to finish football. Not excited for the season to be over. Just excited to keep playing. But probably after football's over, just get the focus on track and just try to keep my grades up, have good grades, and trying to finish the year off strong.
Talk about from this point on, we got one regular season game, and then we have the sectional. So what's your outlook from this point to the sectional?
Obviously, the way we played against Warsaw, I think we definitely have a chance against Mishawaka. I think the offense just has to do its job, and defense will obviously always step up. I have a lot of faith in our defensive players. We've done great the last couple games, and obviously sectionals. Really excited, just excited for a team that to draw a team at the beginning that we could obviously go up and compete with. But I can agree that all the teams that we'll go against, or all the teams in our conference or sectionals, will do good against. We can always win.
Yep. We have we're going to do a sectional draw kind of pizza party here at the high school, and
kind of like what they do for like the bowl games and that too.
Yeah,
right?
a little bit.
Like March Madness.
Yep. A lot of teams do that for the sectional draw, and that's one of our goals this year is to win a sectional game and win the whole thing. And we do have a couple conference teams that are in our sectional with Plymouth and Northridge and NorthWood, and then we have Logansport, the big trip way down there, and
the
then,
Berries, as we learned last year.
Yeah, and a couple of South Bend schools. So we're going to celebrate that. We're going to look at the draw and celebrate that, and then go to work. Mishawaka is another opportunity to get better, sharpen the steel, a little bit. And it presents a big challenge as they're one of the strong teams. I mean, we've had quite the gauntlet the last several games, and it doesn't change with this, but that makes us a stronger team going into sectional.
Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning, Derek. We will go to our second interviewee, Dallas Miller. And welcome to the booth, Dallas. Now, Dallas, you're a junior this year. What positions do you play for Wawasee?
Currently, right now, I'm a defensive end and tight end.
Now, last night, I did not see you line up at tight end. Talk a little bit about this week and your transition to tackle.
So since our center, Cooper Garten, had a concussion this week, and we were talking about linemen, and then I was telling Coach Jon during our strength training period that, hey, I'll play offensive line this week. And he was like, all right. Then in Warrior time, went to Coach Reutebuch's office and talked to him about being offensive line. And before you even know it, offensive line this week.
Yeah. How about that number change? Was that a little strange for you?
Yeah, it's kind of weird seeing 54 on me instead of 84, but,
Now, Dallas, have you ever played the interior offensive line?
Not since Pee Wee.
Pee Wee football. Okay. So, very unselfish. Dallas wanted to help the team out and said, hey, if you need somebody, I can play in the offensive line. And so, we took him up on it. And, we had to move some people around. As we mentioned before, CJ had to move to center, and Dallas moved to quick tackle for us this week. And, it's really hard to pick it up in 1 week, but he did a nice job of learning what to do and give us a chance to be able to move the football by stepping up and going to that position.
Now, I've always, obviously I was a lineman in high school here, and I've always wanted to know what that transition is like from either tackle to tight end or tight end to tackle, just because you kind of get to do a little bit of both there at the tight end position. What kind of went into your preparation this week of being a tackle?
Well, first of all, I think the conditioning for it's harder. Like, I got tired way faster playing line than tight end. I thought it was pretty weird, but no, it's kind of just last night was pretty hard, just like getting your blocks, staying in front of your blocks, make sure no one getting by, communication. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be, because, I thought line was pretty easy at first,
Oh, yeah,
but,
step right and push,
Yeah, but after this week, I have a lot of respect for linemen and for what they do. So
this is a kid coming off his first touchdown against Warsaw as a tight end, and we won't get into the Dally walk, but he got his first touchdown as a tight end, and then the next week he's playing tackle. So that's a great adjustment, and that's a true team player,
and kind of shows how selfless you really are.
Yeah, our coach Zave's one of our for fast, our S is for selfless. So you got to be able to step up when it's needed to.
Yeah, you love it when they quote things, you tell them, and they bring those back up. That shows that they're really listening and taking it to heart. So that's great.
And when they can bring that back up and regurgitate it to you, that really is message received and proceeded further, right?
Yep, absolutely. We probably need to have Dallas talk about his family. Every guy comes on here, talks about their family. So go ahead and tell us about your family.
Well, my mom just had another kid, so this would be the 5th one, but I have 2 brothers and 3. Wait.
Do the math here.
2 brothers and 2 sisters. There you go. They counted me.
I have your sister in class right now, Danica. Yeah. She's a volleyball player. And you have a brother that's a 8th grader?
Yep.
And he's a football player, too.
Yep, see him next year.
Is he following in your footsteps as far as the positions he's playing?
Yep, so far, defensive end and all that. So I'm trying to help him out for next year, and hopefully it'll be better than me.
Okay. Is he tall and lanky like you are?
Nope. Just
No.
a little stronger than me, actually.
A little thicker?
All right.
All right.
Stronger than me. So.
Okay.
Hey, we could always use that size here, right?
Absolutely. I've actually seen his brother play. I just want him to have to talk about his brother. He didn't have the right shorts on the other day. We have practice packs on every Thursday pregame, so we're all unified. We're all wearing the same thing, and he didn't have his because little brother stole them. And was wearing them. So that's something you have to battle sometimes.
It seems like we have a couple brothers here that are coming up through this program that are intentionally being kind of put together in a little bit of rivalry there.
No, you got to see the Kelly boys go at it in practice. Those two definitely sibling rivalry, and then you got the Sewells. We have a lot of brother combinations, and it's great to have them play with their brother. But it's also sometimes they get after each other, and that's okay too.
Now, Dallas, do you play any other sports?
Basketball, and I might do track this year. Track or baseball. I haven't decided yet.
We're pushing him towards track.
Well, I tell you what, we were talking about, how big track is. I mean, we've talked about now Tinky, we've talked about Bontrager, we've talked about Lucas. Track kind of will help with that speed. Is it more for the speed side of things or more the explosive side of things?
For me, it's form running because when I run, it's kind of weird. So I'm trying to work on picking my knees up when I run, so hopefully become faster. So
he's very self-aware because we've mentioned that at times. Picking his knees up and then of course incorporating his arms. He's surprisingly quick, considering, but he knows he can get better, and he knows that track's one way to help him get better at that. Now,
here's a joke that Riley and Coach Reutebuch will get here. We used to have a guy on a team that we used to call the Giraffe because of the way he ran. Do you have a nickname for the way you run?
No, not really. It's just I don't know, Dally Run, I guess.
The Dally Run.
Yeah, we tease him. I think he's been watching Coach Japes run down the sideline a little bit too much. He's got a little stiff leg, and we try to keep it light and have fun with the kids, and make sure that they're having a good time. And I think this team really does enjoy playing football, enjoys being around each other, and enjoys their coaches. And Dallas is not always a talkative guy, but he's always into it, and he's always asking questions, wanting to get better, and usually is bringing that energy and working hard.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Dallas. That will wrap up segment 3 of the Coach's Corner Football Show. When we come back, we will talk about Wawasee's next opponent as they travel to Mishawaka. This is the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. And welcome back to the Coach's Corner Football Show with Coach Jon Reutebuch on 93.7 FM The Mix. Now, Coach, we put the NorthWood game to bed. We've had some great interviews by Derek Bontrager and Dallas Miller. Now let's turn our sights to our regular season finale as the Wawasee Warriors are set to travel to Mishawaka. What does Mishawaka like to do on offense?
Flexbone.
And you guys have seen this before, right?
Yes. Bart Curtis was at Mishawaka before he was at Warsaw, and he established the Flexbone offense. And so when he moved on to Warsaw, Keith Kinder took over and they've continued the flex bone, and they're really good at it. Not to mention they're really big, and they execute it pretty well. When they faced up against Warsaw, they beat them pretty well. And Bart's comments were that they executed that offense better than they did, and that's why they won. And the physicality and the low pads. So we're facing that flex bone again, and we faced it with Warsaw, and we're going to face probably another more intense version of the flex bone. They're also a little bit more flexible in what they do. They'll throw the ball occasionally. They'll do some different things that challenge you defensively to make sure that you're covering. As far as their defense goes, they fly to the football. They got a northwood defense, and so it is a big challenge. It's one of the best teams in the conference. Obviously, they're tied for first. We've run this gauntlet of Northridge, Warsaw, NorthWood, and now Mishawaka. That's a pretty tough gauntlet.
And all of those teams at the point of playing them have either been in the top 10 of their class or just outside of the top 10.
Yeah, getting votes and mentions just outside the top 10. Yep, that's the NLC, and that's what we play in. And rather than boo-hooing about it, we use it as this is sharpening the spear, and this is preparing us for the playoffs. And every week's a challenge, and we're in the NLC, so we play like it. In the NLC, you better bring your A game each week, or you could get beat, no matter if you're in first place or last place.
So you mentioned Mishawaka plays a similar offense to Warsaw, and this team played Warsaw extraordinarily well. Didn't come out in the end with the W like we would have hoped, but we've already seen this type of offense and know the type of discipline that this defense can have to stop it. But you also mentioned that Mishawaka is a big team. I mean, they have some pretty big linemen up there.
Yeah.
So they're definitely bigger than some of the size that we have in our defense. What's some things that the defensive line or the linebackers can do to counteract that size difference?
There's a lot of technique involved, using your hands, getting off blocks, doing your 111. It's eye discipline. It's we'll go back to some of the similar drills and things that we did preparing for Warsaw. It's a really simple thing as far as defense. You're not putting together all these packages, these blitz packages and stunts and all these things. I mean, you're going to have a few in there, but for the most part, it's just making sure you're doing your job on each play. You do your assignment. You take this guy,
your
or
responsibility.
Yep, exactly. And it's simple as far as preparation and what you institute. But it's difficult because you got a guy that's really good at it, and that's all they do all the time is practice those plays, coming downhill, low pads, right at you, and you got to take that on every play and understand that you're going to win and lose some battles, and you just got to keep coming back and putting forth that great effort, and that's what it's going to take.
And it's. This team does the option, right? So they'll run the same play 5, 6, 7 times in a row, and then option it. And if you get lulled to sleep, that's 20 yards right there.
Yeah, and Mishawaka has a quarterback that he's pretty darn good at putting them in good place. He's tall and lanky. He can throw the ball pretty well, and by the way, he's a really good runner. One of those guys that you never really get a clear hit on. He just kind of bounces off of people and worms his way through people, and he's pretty good. His brother was really good. His brother's on Notre Dame's practice squad, and they're just tough, hard-nosed kids. Mishawaka kids are, and that quarterback's a difference. Warsaw's working with their sophomore quarterback that probably should be playing JV if their starting quarterback wasn't hurt this year, and he's making great strides. But this kid's a senior. He had to start
seen a lot of football then.
Yeah, as a sophomore, he had to play like Keim has had to play. He had to play when his brother was hurt and didn't miss a beat. So you knew, oh gosh, here he comes. Here's another one, and runs that offense well, puts them in good plays, and they have good hard-nosed athletes, and they play with low pad level. And and the other challenge is offensively. We're going to have to try to score on these guys, and they fly to the football well. And with some of these bigger schools, they're pretty much two platooned, and so they got fresh guys going, and that's what they're working on all week. Where our guys have to split time, so it presents a challenge, but we expect to go out there and compete like we have the last 3 games, and our level of play is got to match that, and we'll see what happens.
How does the preparation into this week change from going and looking forward to the next week? Because, you have the Flexbone here, and then I don't believe there's anyone in our sectional that runs the Flexbone. So is it kind of like hey, hurry up and learn this week again and then forget it? Or is it more of a building block for defense down the road?
Logan Sport runs a wing T type offense that you can see some similar formations of the Flexbone, but no, nobody runs Warsaw Mishawaka Flexbone. So you got to take it one game at a time. I mean, that's got to be your mental focus, and that's got to be your game plan focus. We're not good enough to be planning a couple weeks in advance. Now, one of the things we want to definitely come out of the Mishawaka game is we want to be healthy. We want to be healthy, and those kind of games are traditionally very, very physical. As we came out of the Warsaw game, we had some guys banged up, and one of them couldn't even play in the game last night, our starting center. So, we want to get we want to be healthy coming out of that game, and we also want to go out there and compete because, for the seniors, they're probably not going to see a Flexbone team since those 2 teams are in upper classes for a while at least. But for our juniors, our sophomores that play, that's not going to go away anytime soon. And so the more experience they get at it and understanding that, and anytime you got a kid that has to execute their discipline, eye discipline, it makes them a better ball player because no matter what offense you're playing, you're making a read. You have a read key. You're reading the tackles, pulling up in a pass set or he's blocking down, and that tells you what you need to do. And, high school kids don't always do that, and you don't have a choice in Flexbone. If you don't do your job and you don't do your read key, that's a big play, and you get exposed real fast.
Huge play. I mean, I was looking at some of their stats. About 75% of their offense is from the run. But what that doesn't show is that 25% is from that pass. You mentioned their quarterback. I mean, this is going to be a tough matchup for this defense. However, the last few weeks, the defense has been playing extraordinarily well.
Yes, absolutely. They've been playing lights out, and they've kept us in the games. Like I said, the challenge is going to be to score against this defense. And I mentioned the quarterback, but the fullback is really good too. I think it's Naval Miller. He is a short stature and a hard runner and very muscular, and we're going to have to stop him too. So it's a dual-edged sword. And, oh, by the way, like you mentioned before, if you think you're stopping that, okay, now here comes the option, or they'll pull it out and pass it. So it's going to be a challenge for us, no doubt about it, but we're up for the challenge.
Offensively, defensively, what challenges do they pose to our offense?
Flying around the football, hard-nosed. They don't stay blocked. They get off of blocks really fast. So one of our issues is sustaining blocks. So we hit the right guy. We're where we're supposed to be, but you have to sustain it through the play, and that's something that we are constantly working on. And if we don't do that, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to have struggles, and so that's one of the biggest challenges. They're pretty vanilla on what they do defensively. I mean, they'll blitz you and stuff from time to time, but you're going to go against a defense that just knows how to react to the football and flies to the football, and so that's going to be the challenge. You got to meet that. You got to execute your blocks and sustain them, so we can execute our offense.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Coach. That is a wrap for this week's Coach's Corner football show. Join us next Saturday on CPG-TV and catch up on previous Coach's Corners on demand on YouTube at CPG-TV. This has been the Coach's Corner football show on 93.7 FM The Mix.